Intro to these videos and self-pity, and maybe what else was I going to talk about? Oh right, what counts. So when I'm doing these videos, I want to make a distinction between external issues, which are issues that can be moved by a social or political or religious force, and anything relating to other people, family, economic issues, that kind of thing. Those are external issues. And internal issues are places where I am in conflict with myself. I have right now issues with self-confidence. I'm working on it. And another one is self-pity. That is something I need to do more research on and to understand how pitying myself and portraying myself as a victim ultimately hurts myself and causes internal conflict. Sometimes I want to portray myself as a victim to say that I'm not getting what I need, this hasn't been fair, and I do try to strive for fairness, but life isn't fair, as we all know. And I have to teach my kid here's the way I've always viewed it. Life not being fair is not a rationale for you being unfair to others. You should be the good change that you want to see in the world. At the same time, you should be aware, conscious, and ready for life not to be fair. This has to do with the topic of preparedness, which is another subject I want to touch upon sometime. So, self-pity, though, is I begin to see this starts from the point of being raised in a subculture where I was really kind of cut off from the rest of the world. You know, I went to church every Sunday. That was the social interaction I had when I was a kid. I went to a private school from kindergarten all the way through high school, the same school. And I only saw that subculture's beliefs around me all the time. And there would be limited mention of others people's beliefs. These beliefs being, well, not beliefs, facts really. Homosexuality comes up as one that is, just Christians just don't, they just wish it would go away. So it was never really mentioned. Working hard is a good one. If you don't make a great paycheck, it means you're lazy. Which, I mean, that's partially true. You don't necessarily that's one of the ways life is not fair. You don't necessarily work hard to get what you can, you don't necessarily get what you work for. But what I'm trying to say is, actually there's other ways in which you can get paid in life. You can get paid by acquiring a new skill. That's huge. That's something you can use for the rest of your life. You can, of course, there's the benefits sometimes that you can get. There's also the social interactions. That's a benefit. That can be a plus or a minus with other people at work. Dealing with the customer is not really a benefit, but hey. But really, I think that pitying yourself actually causes both an internal and an external issue, because you're teaching yourself basically that you're always in a position where you can never attain what you want to get no matter what happens. You'll always find something that's unfair. You grew up in a first world country. You have the opportunity to provide for your family, but you have all these self-limiting beliefs. You have a wife that tramples all over you and stomps on your ideas. So that's that. You're in a piteous position because you found something wrong. It's not true though. Every one of us goes through the cycles of life, and with that, people come and go, events, multiple careers come and go. Uh, it sounds kind of corny, but there's a time and a place for everything, and to not appreciate where you are right now is to hurt yourself. And the external issue is you teach others. I don't know. You can resort to some actions that might be against your own code to get what you want. I don't know if that's what my wife does, but damn, if it doesn't feel like she does that. She will sabotage and scream, and she'll drown out anybody else who doesn't share ideas with her. And to me, I'm completely against my moral code. I like to reason and to talk about things. Right now, I feel like I am talking, right? That's how we deal with problems in the 21st century. Everyone talks to each other and everyone's nice to each other. Of course, no, the world isn't fair. People are not fair. But what are you going to do about it? Pity yourself? Or suck it up and learn who you are and find a goal and attain it. And I guess I could do another video on goals. I could do another video on goals, but I probably so terrible at it. I shouldn't. But I don't pity myself. I understand now that a lot of what I consider my shortcomings before, and again, this is the double-edged sword of my wife. She taught me this. Basically, she showed me she was such an extreme opposite from the way I was with my lack of self-confidence. She just, if she wants something, she just goes and gets it. She already, when she sees something she wants, she expects it to be hers. In her mind, it's already hers. And if somebody tries to take it, if somebody tries to charge her too much money for it, man, there's going to be hell to pay. So one benefit of that was knowing what it was like for a self-confident person to go get what they want. I had never actually seen that, and I had been taught to perceive first, which is, it's good to perceive. But it's also good to know yourself and have goals. So I only saw one side of that, the perceiving side, and I never saw the doing side. I never saw this is what you should have in life, and you need to take these actions to go get it. And being around my wife has definitely influenced me, showing me what I previously considered a weakness. It might not be a strength, but at least it's part of who I am, and I have to accept it. Like, you have no better measure of who you are that you can get just by listening. So listen to yourself. Listen to yourself and understand that whatever that may be, maybe part of that is ugly, but that is, you understand that's taught. I don't think that in your natural state you would say, I'm an ugly person. Maybe there are people with some, if you, I don't know, you can tell I'm really educated on this, some kind of mental disorder that would keep you attacking yourself. But that is a vast minority. That's only a few people, and I think most people in their natural state, at least from what I've seen, would want to, they don't want to attack themselves. They don't want to think of themselves as ugly. So whatever you think about being, of yourself being ugly, I think that's taught and learned. Taught by maybe a role model, somebody who shouldn't be a role model, and then a conscious decision learned by you. That actually takes, two to tango there, the teacher and the learner, or the student. It's a lonely journey. You have to teach, and you have to be both the teacher and the student. in this journey. You can get advice from others, but ultimately others can't be the basis for which you make your decisions. So there's no room in this picture for self-pity. I could say I was born in the United States, great, but I'm in a really backwards state where it's kind of obscure. There's a bunch of ideological backwardness, but it's not true. There are things to appreciate here, and there's also there's a lot to give and take in this world. There's both the giving and taking, there's the learning from others, but there's also the teaching of others, and that's what I have not done enough, is teaching others. And when I say teaching others, I don't want to evangelize and bend them to my will, teach them about my religion, convert them, maybe convert them in the form of speaking, but it's not a religious thing. It's me wanting to spread my knowledge. I think that I have, and this again, this is another subject, I may have a unique viewpoint on the world. I feel enough cut off from society and humanity to think at least that I have a unique viewpoint. Maybe I'm just teaching other people what they already know about themselves. I hope that's it. It would make it easier for me. But sometimes people need to be introduced. And that's the big difference between what you would have in a religious setting or you're evangelizing versus someone who genuinely wants to spread their own knowledge. So when you have someone who maybe travels to another country, and this is my brother does this. He's gone to several other countries and handed out Bibles. Yeah, he's a preacher. Yeah, so which is fine. That's fine. I'm glad he can be in a situation where he can go and travel to other countries. Maybe not everybody gets that. That's great. But the difference between evangelizing and genuine teaching, like you can tell this difference in a school. When you're in a middle school or a high school, you can tell the difference between teachers who are there to reiterate or even regurgitate the ideas presented by society. And there is a societal influence on what is printed in textbooks. For God's sake, look at the Common Core standards in the United States and look at Texas. They have their own standards because they think it's all political, and each side does emphasize more of our history. And it always comes back to history, by the way. When you're studying English language arts, it's history. Pretty much any subject is based upon history. So anyway, even in our own history in this country, there's been much more patriotic ideas in the past than now. Thankfully, now it's not just all about us, and there is still at least a desire to have a national identity, but it is fading away. I'll tell you that. And that is reflected in our textbooks. And some people think that's a tragedy. The people who think that everyone here should speak English and, have the same pasty white skin that they do. So I don't know. Yeah, it's a tragedy for them, but it's changing for the rest of us. It's changing for everyone. And for the rest of us, maybe this will lead to more critical thinking. And this is the point I was making. You can tell the difference between the people who are just reiterating what is seen in the textbook, or they're just to get a paycheck, and then there's the other people. They're fewer in number. I know this because I've been through school on a few levels. You can see that the people who want to purvey knowledge, they want to convey knowledge. They don't only want to convey the facts, It's not even about facts versus methods. It's really about critical thinking to me. So there are several different levels. I don't know how I got from self-pity into classroom teaching. There's several different levels of teaching methods. Like there's the people who have the facts, the people who just teach the facts and teach to the test, it's called. You know, checking off a few boxes, making sure that the Normans invaded England in 1066, that kind of thing. Then there are the people who teach critical thinking, which is, hey, that's a huge step. I would rather most teachers be there, but we're already getting to this level above the facts. We're already getting into a pretty small minority. So this level is the people who teach. We might call it methods, either methods or critical thinking. It's the asking why. Why do we get to this point? And higher up in this level are the people who actually question at a higher level. They say, why are we even learning this? Why is this being emphasized in our schools? But at some level, you have to adjust what's in front of you. So if you teach a student, what were what was the rationale for this person's decision? Again, in history, why did this poet? What caused this poet? What cultural ideas and can't think of the word. Starts with an S. Anyway, what ideas from culture stimuli? There we go. What stimuli caused this person to convey this idea? Anyway, so there's a couple of issues there too, because when I see there's always a spectrum, at least one spectrum. There can be several. There's one spectrum where you have extremes on both sides, and you want to find yourself in the middle. This is one of the greatest lessons you can learn in life. Is to it's so difficult. Like I've been trying to strike a balance for the majority of my life, and I've ended up listening to people too much, which is in itself an extreme. This is one of those questions in Buddhism, I think. Living that kind of ascetic lifestyle where you only listen to yourself, that's an extreme, right? I think the Buddha taught to be in the middle, as far as I understand. I don't know, where am I going with this? But we have a point in our textbooks also that we're trying to get so far ahead as far as the quality of what we're teaching. And some students are getting left behind. Some of the kids are being left behind, and it's not even right to call them kids. We're treating them like adults, which is good. We're trying to teach them to be critical thinkers, contributors to society, which overall I think is a good thing, and I would rather have it this way than the way I had it when I was growing up. But at the same time, there's too much information being conveyed. I don't know. I mean, the kids today, they are smarter as far as the methods and critical thinking. So overall, I think it's been good. But I don't think there should be, I don't know, there's so much, for some reason, there's so much competition between the different countries, between the United States and European countries, China, Japan, and a couple of other countries. It's always a competition. And in this age of more, I don't know if we're more splintered or more cohesive, more of a unit. I don't know anymore. Again, I don't know where I was going with this. I think I had another subject here, but I don't remember, but I think I've had some good ideas here and some ideas for other topics. So I think I'll leave it at that, unless I can remember what else I was going to talk about. Oh, yes. What counts? So let me do that real quick while that's on my mind. I think what counts. So this ties in a little bit with the internal and the external conflicts. We have the ideas. When I compare myself to others, I think about what counts. This is not my best. Let me go prepare my best. You can't prepare your best your entire life. At one point, you have to be with yourself with all your mistakes, and you have to understand that that's you. That's really you. You have to accept. And what goes into this word accept? You have to know that that's you. You have to be able to witness and to, I don't want to say suffer because it's a natural part of life. You have to have humiliation in your life. And I don't know how to do this right now. This is an issue with me because I feel like I've protected myself too much. And this is probably a mark of arrogance. But I feel like I've protected myself so much that no one else has the right to criticize me because I've punished myself enough. Look here what I've done with myself. Here's the self-pity issue again. I've hurt myself enough that no one else is really allowed to say anything else. But you know what? That's, again, a terrible attitude that I have to change. And it is arrogant. So what I need to do is open myself up to some forms of criticisms and be able to sit there and take it. Understand that you're not always going to be your best self for others, but you can be your best self for yourself. Believe it or not, that's more important. So far I've lived for other people and I'm sick of it. I can't keep up. You can't please everyone. There's too many directions. It's too much communication. It's too much communication. It's you don't even know what other people want. Like literally, everyone just gets what they want. Do you think everyone just gets what they want all the time? No. There's people in the world who just, you can't be a follower of everyone. So why wouldn't you go be yourself? That's the only person you really know anything about. So that's what counts. What counts is who you are right now with all your mistakes. They can be severe mistakes. I mean, you're not running for a political campaign. It's not like people are going to dig up things. I mean, you can be worried about stupid things. And it's in the past. All that exists is who you are right now. So why would you not accept that? Again, understanding that you're in the process of change right now, and that's beautiful. That's it. That person you are becoming is who you are now. It's a little bit of an irony, but that's how it works. So just, if I had advice to myself in the past, present, and future, it's be yourself. Know who you are. Know that you are yourself. It's not that you don't count now because there's some parts of you that are not pretty in front of others. You just are yourself. That's all you have. Don't go thinking about what could have been or even, but don't dwell too much on what you could have. Have goals, fine, but allow those goals to be part of the present, not part of the future. Live intentionally. Go get whatever you want, but most importantly, more important than the goals, be yourself. Be yourself. And yourself is what counts. You are what counts right now.